Hey guys, this is Courtney with Just Nurse Court, and welcome to our 2026 seed starting adventure. Yay, we are going to be starting our garden today. Can you believe it? Here it is, mid-January, and we are going to be starting our garden. We're going to be planting some seeds. We're going to be planting pepper seeds, cabbage seeds, broccoli seeds. We're going to get things going. So stick with me and you will see what we get planted today. So today I am going to be starting a bunch of my cold weather crops like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, as well as some pepper plants. So it is the middle of January, literally. It is January 15th when I'm filming this, and it is cold outside. I'm in my sunroom. I have to have my heater on because it's so cold out here. And here we are thinking about starting a garden. So you definitely have to initially look at your gardening zones to see where you are and how many weeks out that you need to start your garden from seed, that is. So I am in Kansas and I am in zone 7A when it comes to gardening. We used to be zone 6B and they just moved us to 7A a few years ago when they did the rezoning. So I have to look at when my last frost date is, which you can go on to the Farmer's Almanac, you can Google it. There's multiple ways to find out when your last frost date, anticipated frost date, I should say, is. So for me, that is around the middle of April, so around April 15th. Now I have found the last couple years while I have been gardening, because yes, I'm still a beginner gardener too, I have discovered that sometimes it can be a little cool in April, sometimes it's not at the end of April. And so I have waited most of the time until about the 1st of May to plan out my garden. So I take that into account, but it is basically 12 weeks from when my last frost date should be. So we're sitting at the middle of January, and there are some seeds that we need to actually get going so that they can start and be fairly decent plants by the time we're ready to plan out the garden this spring. So I showed a video recently where I was planting my garden, but I put my my seeds into baggies. I label them 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, etc. And that way I know what I need to plan out along the way. So today we have got like I said, my cold weather crops, which is going to be my brassicas, the cauliflower, broccolis, kohlrabi, cabbage. I've got all of those ready to go. And then I have got my pepper plants. So this year I'm growing mostly sweet peppers. I am growing one jalapeno pepper and then a paprika pepper to experiment with making my own paprika. So I am going to be starting all of these seeds today. So one of the first things that you need is soil. So I am using today this Miracle Grow seed starting potting mix. I have a couple different seed starting mixes that I'm trying this year, and today I'm using that one. I've already filled up my trays off camera just to save some time. And then the other one is the Coast of Maine seed starter, and I have not tried this one yet. So one of the things that I learned last year was I didn't start my seeds early enough. Like I said, am in zone 7A, and I started all my seeds pretty much the middle of March, which is 2 months later than I should have. So let me get my seed tray here, and we are going to start. So I have my notes here, but basically what I'm going to do is I always label my little trays. So these are 6-cell trays, if you can see them. I got these from, I believe these are from Epic Gardener, and then the big tray, the 10 by 20 or whatever size that is from Bootstrap Farmer. I had a bunch of Bootstrap Farmer stuff, and then I really wanted some 6-cell trays, and so I ended up buying these, and I'm pretty sure I got these from Epic Gardening. So I am starting out by writing down for each one of my little trays. I'm going to write down what it is that I'm growing in that tray. So I'm just going to go through and write down a little place marker for each of my seed packets so that I can get started with planting seeds. Okay, so now that I got all my little tags made, that will help me stay on track with what is going where. Okay, and I have one of these little tools. It's called a dibbler. They're very helpful whenever you're out in the garden and you're wanting to plant seeds out there. But I also use it and just kind of make a little, you could use your finger. Sometimes I will just make a little spot in the center of each one of these to put the seed down. So I just realized that I have an extra tray here. I think I'm just gonna leave it and I will end up planting something in it later because I think I have everything that I need as far as going out into my garden. So I have an extra tray. So we'll just leave it and it will be good for planting something else in it. Maybe if I have to, like something doesn't germinate, I can replant in that. So we're just gonna go with it. So I've got an extra empty tray and it'll be fine. So let's start with our super tiny seeds, which are our brassica seeds. The brassica seeds are so tiny, and I'm gonna start with and I will come over to the camera and show you. But they are super baby tiny seeds. So this is the kohlrabi. And what I'm gonna do is just pour a few out into my hand here. And I try to put 2 seeds in each hole so that way we can hopefully get good germination. Sometimes I get 2 plants that grow and I have to weed one out. Sometimes I don't. So it just depends on the germination. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my finger, just kind of put the soil over on top where I made the little hole. And just like that, the kohlrabi is planted. So we are going to go through all of these seeds and I'm going to get everything planted. Okay, so we've got all of our seeds planted and now I just need to go in and tap the soil over top of the little hole. Now, if you don't have seed starting trays, you can always use egg cartons. I've seen people start them in that. If you want to get started and grow seeds and you don't have all the equipment, a lot of times you can get stuff from like the Dollar Tree, dollar stores. Sometimes they will have cheap trays. I know like some of the greenhouses I've heard will have a bunch of like the plasticky ones that are throwaway that sometimes they get rid of like at the end of the season. So there's ways to get started if you don't have all the money to do all the equipment. There are ways to get started. Some people will plant stuff in milk jugs, and I'm going to be doing that actually and trying a new method of growing called winter sowing. And I'm going to try it with my lavender. I don't have the milk jugs right now. I am waiting on getting them from my mother actually. She is got some tea that she's finishing drinking, and so I am going to get the jug from her as soon as she is done. And then I'm going to try to grow some seedlings in a milk jug and start my lavender in those and do some winter sowing and just pop them outside. So there's lots of ways to get going, but this is how I'm starting mine in my trays. And then I have behind me, and you can kind of see it over there, my seed starting tray or my seed starting shelves. I've got grow lights on them, I've got grow fans, and then another thing I'm gonna have to have right now probably, and I don't know if the back of these say particularly Some of the seed packets will say like what the temperature needs to be for germination. So the cabbage here is 45 to 65 days. So the In My Gardener has a lot of information on the back of the seed packet. So it'll tell you like how deep to plant your seeds, whether they need full sun, that kind of stuff. Or sometimes the seed companies, like on their website, when you're ordering the seeds, will give you more information. But In My Gardener seed packets have a lot of information on them, which are really nice. They have like when to start indoors, when to direct sow, how many days it takes to germinate, which is how many basically till you start seeing little leaves sprout up. That's what germinate means. And then the temperature that it needs to germinate, how big the plant will get, how far you should space it, and then how many days until the plant is fully mature and ready to harvest, and even some information on harvesting. So it's got a lot of information on the back of its packets. The Johnny's has some information. It doesn't have quite as detailed as far as like when to start and stuff like that, but it does have a lot of information on it. The Haas seed packets just says when to plant, the plant depth, and how many days to maturity. It doesn't have as much. And then Baker's Creek, theirs kind of talks about, they're more, Baker Creek I've noticed kind of more tells the story of the seed, which is kind of cool. So on the back of the packet, it will kind of tell you a little bit about the history of the seed and the plant, and a little bit about planting, when to start. The ideal temp for peppers is 70 to 95 degrees. So I know that the peppers are going to need some warm weather. And what I may have to end up doing is actually pulling. I didn't think about that whenever I was doing it, because these little guys over here don't need quite as warm of temperatures, but I was gonna set my little seedlings on a heat mat this year. I've never done that, but because it's January and I'm in my sunroom, and this sunroom has no heat unless I turn a heater on, and it gets very cold. Like it was, I have a little thermometer out here, and it was like 33 degrees out here earlier. So it gets very cold in the winter. So I'm gonna be setting a heat mat up. I have bought me another little heater to run out here to hopefully keep this area a little bit warmer. So I think what I will do until that heater comes in is keep these little guys inside. And that way I will be able to, they'll be a little bit warmer in the inside, because I keep my house about 70 degrees. So that will help. And it'll help the little seedlings hopefully start a little bit better. And then once they get started, then I will probably move them out here and then keep the little heater going. But I think that may be what I do for right now. I am still a new gardener, still learning all the little tips and tricks. Last year I started my seeds way too late, and I didn't have to worry about the cold temperatures because it was March. And I knew I started them way late, and so then my garden was slower going, and I didn't think that my tomato plants were gonna make it. And so I ended up buying some tomato plants, and then I had more tomatoes than I needed, and oh, the joys of gardening. So, all right, guys. Well, that is my seed starting for my brassicas, which is my cold weather friends, and my peppers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little seed starting video. And then what I'm going to do is spray the tops of this with water, and then I will bottom water. The nice thing about these trays is you can put a little bit of water down here, and then you will bottom water. If you bottom water, it's a little bit better for new seedlings that are getting started, because pouring the water on top can sometimes disrupt them and get them all crazy. So bottom watering is definitely the way to go for seedlings. So I am going to spray them, and then I will show you guys my seed tray. Okay, and I just have this cheap little $1 water bottle from Walmart. You can get one wherever. Probably the Dollar Tree has them. So you could definitely just get you a cheapy old water bottle. So here are my seedlings. I went ahead and put them on the heat mat. I decided to go ahead and try the heat mat. I'm going to put the humidity dome on them, and I'm going to go ahead and just try the heat mat out here and see what happens. I'm hoping that with the humidity dome and the heat mat that maybe they will be okay until my other heater comes in, because this one here I just don't want to run that much, and so I am definitely, we're just going to experiment and see what happens. So I'm hopeful that the heat mat will produce enough heat to be able to get these things to germinate. So, all right, let me put that humidity dome on them. Okay, so I'm trying to do this one-handed, y'all. But there we go. Okay, so I got it on, and then I like to keep my little vents open on top. And so there we go. We are all set up, and now I'm going to have to turn my grow lights on. So I do that through my Alexa app, and I can tell Alexa to turn them on and off, and I have them set up on a timer. So I will be getting my grow lights now set up, and the spring gardening season is officially here, guys. So can you believe that gardening season is officially here? I am so excited. So thanks for watching today's video and staying with me as I planted the seeds. If you are not a subscriber, I would love to have you join my community and subscribe and follow along for the 2026 garden. And if you are new to gardening and have never planted seeds before, go to Walmart, get you a packet of seeds. Go to Dollar Tree, Dollar General, get you some red Solo cups or some styrofoam cups, egg cartons, something, and get you a seed starting mix, and then let's plant some seeds together. Let's grow a garden together. I will see you soon in the next one. Bye, friends.